Perhaps no one in the world is more credulous than an American liberal when a Democrat is running for president. Consider Michelle Goldberg of The Nation, who sincerely asks readers to believe that Democratic forerunner Hillary Clinton's long record of right-wing policies has only been a feint designed to obscure her native progressivism, which will now come to the fore. You wait and see. Clinton, she argues, is running as a progressive feminist. She argues that Clinton's presentation of a progressive agenda is not new. Rather, she's coming full circle, returning to the positions that she has always secretly held. Goldberg approvingly quotes Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, arguing that Clinton's progressive resume and her progressive roots are very, very strong. She has proven herself to be one of the more liberal senators, consistently to the left of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and John Kerry. Goldberg notably doesn't mention her opposition to gay marriage, her prevarication on abortion, her support for authoritarian criminal justice laws, or her uncritical backing for Israel, and even omits most of her warmongering bar on Iraq. Or take Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, who argues that Clinton has a record of civil rights advocacy work that dates to the 1960s, and that the young Black Lives Matter protesters who want to pressure her simply don't appreciate that resume. The last time we discussed Hillary Clinton on this program, we saw how the media promoted an illusory portrait of Clinton as a reformer and a progressive on the side of poor women and against Wall Street fat cats. This is because even the program of more left liberal publications like The Nation is tied to the electoral prospects of the Democratic Party. Predictably, little has changed between then and now. Except that now there is a contest. Seemingly out of nowhere, a populist liberal challenger has emerged in the person of Bernie Sanders, the independent senator from Vermont. Sanders, who calls himself a socialist, is not hugely radical. He supports Israel, he supports many US wars, and is usually loyal to the Democrats. But with his attacks on Wall Street, inequality, and social security cuts, he's drawing vast crowds to public events. As NPR points out, bigger than for any other candidate, including the much-hyped Republican billionaire Donald Trump. Sanders probably can't win. Nationwide polling puts him well behind Clinton, but in some key primaries, such as New Hampshire, Sanders has overtaken her, as this Mother Jones piece shows. So now Hillary Clinton has to look over her left shoulder. Part of the Sanders effect is that the political dominance of Wall Street and corporate America is a campaign issue. Hillary Clinton has started to articulate demands for the reform of Wall Street and tougher financial controls, although, as CNN points out in their 5 questions for Hillary on Wall Street, this rhetoric is short of any actual substantive commitments. Clinton has offered no stance on breaking up the big banks, restoring Glass-Steagall, the Tobin tax, or any of the big issues concerning Wall Street's power. Could this be because, as USA Today reports, Clinton is Wall Street's candidate? Following the money back to these big donors, the article points out that for all of Clinton's tough-sounding rhetoric, there's not really that much reform there, and certainly it's small potatoes compared to forthright calls by her rivals for the Democratic nomination, such as Bernie Sanders. The Daily Beast reports that the big donors in this campaign are backing 2 candidates, ostensibly opponents, Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. Could it be that they have more in common with each other than they do with their own party rivals? The muckraking online magazine, The Intercept, has drawn attention to some of Clinton's Wall Street connections. One of the issues that has come up in this campaign is that there is a revolving door between Wall Street and the White House. And part of that revolving door involves golden parachutes, special payments made to former Wall Street employees by their employers to ensure their loyalty when they take public office. Clinton used this system to her advantage and is now point-blank refusing to state her position on golden parachutes. And now, as the Washington Times reports, this revelation has prompted a range of progressive organizations to lobby Clinton over her Wall Street connections and to urge her to support the legislation opposing golden parachutes. Now, Democratic rivals other than Sanders are coming out to exploit Clinton's vulnerability on Wall Street. The establishment Democratic candidate Martin O'Malley, former governor of Maryland who oversaw the racist policing policies that led to the social explosions in Baltimore, has come out to attack Hillary Clinton on her Wall Street connections. Ironically, Wall Street is sufficiently worried about Clinton's weakness that they are now, reports the Wall Street Journal, funneling money to O'Malley. The Huffington Post reports that now even Senator Joe Biden, whose cozy relationship with the banks is legendary, appears to be hinting that he may run for president on the basis that Clinton's Wall Street links mean she lacks credibility. In the last year, especially since the Ferguson uprising, race and criminal justice have come to the fore. Clinton, though traditionally right-wing on these issues, appears to be tilting gently to the left. Just as the liberalization of social attitudes on gay marriage and abortion have led Clinton to change her tune in order to be electable, so in the era of Black Lives Matter, she appears to be tacking to the left on race. Most of the media has so forgotten that history that Clinton can be portrayed in the New York Times as a long-standing civil rights advocate. The Nation article doesn't even mention Clinton's support for racist law and order legislation. But is Clinton's Damascene conversion for real? The Intercept has thankfully done some real muckraking work on this and has found that Clinton is the beneficiary of large wads of campaign cash from private prison lobbyists. This is hardly auspicious for any hope of prison reform coming from Clinton. These companies depend upon keeping the imprisonment rate high. But Clinton is a smooth operator. When Black Lives Matter protesters began to disrupt the primary campaigns, Clinton kept out of sight for a while and allowed Sanders to deal with it himself. The gnarly and defensive response from Sanders' campaign supporters was a gift to Clinton. While Sanders has a slightly better record on race than Clinton, although he too backed Bill Clinton's criminal justice laws, he was the one to take the heat. Predictably, the liberal pro-Clinton press exploited this discomfort. Do white liberals have a Bernie Sanders problem? Asked the Washington Post, suggesting that white liberals were too rich to understand the serious anti-racist agenda of Hillary Clinton, notwithstanding the fact that, if anything, Sanders is to the left of Clinton on this issue. At least Clinton's propensity to talk left and act right is beginning to be noticed by some of the liberal press. Mother Jones has reported, for example, on Clinton's dependence on the fossil fuel industry. She describes climate change as the most consequential, urgent, sweeping collection of challenges we face as a nation and a world, but is beholden to the same industries preventing any change. Yet Clinton's most immediate challenge may come from a scandal that seems to be more to do with her integrity than her politics. Clinton had used a private email account and server to send and store official emails while she was in Obama's administration. McClatchy reports that these private emails included material from 5 intelligence agencies, some related to the right-wing's old hobby horse, Benghazi. The FBI is investigating. Jeb Bush claims the former Secretary of State endangered national security in doing so, and CNN quotes Bush linking her to Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden. Not everyone is impressed by this. David Korn, writing for Mother Jones magazine, says that the email trove depicts Clinton as an earnest public servant toiling away on important affairs of state, sycophantically comparing her to Julie Louis-Dreyfus' character in Veep. He is no doubt right that this is how the email trove depicts Clinton, because we can only see the emails that the Clinton team chose to turn over. As The Atlantic points out, the Clinton team destroyed emails that they designated as personal. Nonetheless, Kurt Eichenwald at Newsweek calls all this a fake scandal. Is it? Not necessarily. As Trevor Timms writes for The Guardian, not everything about this scandal smacks of contrived Republican outrage. After all, one reason to conduct state business using private emails is to avoid accountability and requests for public disclosure. Indeed, it may be precisely to avoid WikiLeaks-style scrutiny that Clinton engaged in this tactic. It is at any rate a sign of Clinton's basic contempt for democratic accountability, and it has the potential to sink the campaign. The polling company Rasmussen seriously inquires whether Clinton should suspend her campaign, noting that 46% of Americans think she should stop her campaign until it is cleared up. Even Mary Dejevsky, a free market liberal who professes herself a Clinton fan, argues in The Guardian that she should step down now before the scandals consume her. And as the Wall Street Journal reports, that's another reason why Senator Joseph Biden is waiting in the wings, ready to pounce. He thinks he smells Clinton's blood. It would be a rash person who underestimated Clinton. She has survived worse scandals from Whitewater onward. But whether she stands or falls, for once, much of the liberal base has broken with the logic of triangulation and has begun to expose the tacit alliance that dominates Washington, D.C., the Wall Street Party.